Sell.
What?
If you got gas in the tank but ain't got no engine, what's going to happen? Sell. If you got that sweet tummy tea, but you still eat In and Out every day after the show, what's going to happen?
Me?
It's going it don't matter, right? Cam Newton, he ain't got nothing in the tank, but if he does have something in the tank, here's the problem.
Oh,
he doesn't have the engine. I love Cam Newton. This is not a personal attack.
You always say that.
The problem is Cam Newton, as far as his body, has deteriorated in front of our eyes. No fault of Cam Newton's own.
Yeah,
but
really?
remember, 2 consecutive years, shoulder injury, then a foot injury. He's hurt. He is hurt. That's problematic. He's hurt. I was on the hype train for Cam Newton. I think he works harder than any player in the National Football League because everything we see on Instagram is probably only a tenth of what Cam Newton is really out there doing. And if y'all know, he was out there getting it all off season. He said, I'm going to come back and I'm going to let y'all really feel this pain. The problem is, Marcellus, what pain? I'm sorry. I know what pain? Marcellus, 8 touchdowns, 10 picks this season. And this isn't even a 2020 issue. Since 2016, Cam Newton is third of all quarterbacks to pass over 1,000 attempts. Third worst touchdown interception ratio. Worse than Jameis Winston. So I'm not even saying this is a 2020 issue. Cam Newton is feast or famine. He has been his whole career. He has super high highs and incredibly low lows. The problem is the highs are no longer as high and the lows are as low as they've ever been. Cam is just not the same Cam. He's not. And I'm going to end my first lap because I got so many places to go, but because of my love and affection for this man, for Cam Newton, I'm going to bite my tongue. I'm going to brittle my tongue, but I'm going to say this. Marcellus, who were the 4 quarterbacks left in the championship games? You had Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, prolific passers. In this season, we saw more points scored than ever before.
Facts.
We are in a day and age where you have to be a prolific passer. Not a prolific quarterback, not a prolific runner, not a prolific dual threat, a prolific passer. If you want to go far. That's what we saw this year. It doesn't matter how you slice it. It don't matter how you dice it. Don't matter if it's tomato. Don't matter if it's tomato. However you get to it, Cam Newton thus far is no longer that. It pains me to say it.
Oh, it does?
It pains me to say
really?
it.
With that smile?
My own kid. It pains me to say it, but he ain't got nothing in the tank.
Oh, God, he has so much more left in the tank. Acho, you are really a pessimist. You tell me this all the time. And you wear that smile, you wear that crispy little fade and line up. And I just buy into that you're not a pessimist, but you really are. It's unreal. Yes, he has more left in the tank. Acho, you're looking at the glass as half empty. One, let's just look at this situation and the adversity that he faced, the obstacles he faced this year. More opt-outs in the NFL than any team this year. He didn't have weapons. He had no tight ends. And then he had receivers. I'm not so certain. Your number 1 receiver, Julian Edelman, he misses 10 games, man. You look at this situation with a lack of weapons and then losing 4 one-possession games this season. That's an 11-5 team that close. You squint, but they're 7-9. Who was 7-9 last year, y'all? Anybody? Oh! The Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And all they had to do was clean up one position, quarterback position. Yes. And all you need to do now with Cam Newton is clean up his miscues, his issues. Because I'm going to tell you like this, Wileyism time, without all the little antics and the graphics. If knowledge is king, then applied knowledge is emperor. You know what that means? It means get this dude in your system. Fully acclimated. Don't just bring them in July and say, hey, here's a playbook. Well, log on and look at the playbook, and we'll see you with no preseason and hit the ground running and expect to know the most complicated system in the NFL. Tom Brady will testify to that. 20 years of Tom Brady's greatness in that system, even Tom Brady had to do this. Now, it was a different era, and Tom Brady did hit the ground running with a Super Bowl championship, but it still was a takeoff. Compare Tom Brady when he was at his powers, peak powers, versus day one in New England system. You saw the growth. You will see the same growth with Cam Newton. Let me tell you about his numbers, which is being really misportrayed in the media, especially by you. Cam Newton, let's do a full screen comparison of who Cam Newton is. Because I'm going to compare Cam Newton to some other starting quarterbacks in this league, supposedly, and see where Cam Newton is. Cam Newton has the fewest touchdowns, but barely. I'll give you that, but he's still in the 20s like everyone else. The fewest giveaways, which means, hey, I'm protecting the football, and doesn't even have the worst completion percentage. Oh, speaking of completion percentage, did Cam Newton have a better completion percentage than Tom Brady this year? Yes, he did. What about Tannehill? What about Matt Ryan? What about my man, Lamar Jackson? What about Matthew Stafford, who everyone is clamoring over now? Oh, now he's on a good team. Cam Newton went out there and answered a lot of questions. But, Acho, I understand where you're coming from, but I need to know where someone else who's smarter than both of us is coming from. Oh, you don't want to bring him in?
Not yet.
I must got him on the ropes. He on the ropes.
Bucky, you gotta wait because Marcellus out here telling these lies, these dang lies.
Ooh.
So, you gave me a full screen comparing Cam Newton to a player who just got shipped off from his organization, Jared Goff.
Who still got
a player who was so bad he said, you know what, I'm just going to retire, Phillip Rivers. And a player
he wasn't so bad.
And a player who a team could not trade in Carson Wentz.
Oh, I thought he was going to be a starter.
Carson Wentz had more touchdowns than Cam Newton and didn't start the last 4 games.
Okay.
Marcellus, you are a better man than to come up here with these terrible, God-forsaken full screens.
Okay, that's 2 gods. One more, you know what's going to happen. Like Candyman, say it 3 times. I dare you. Here we go. Jared Goff, is he still a starter? Phillip Rivers. They were even considering bringing him back, but he already coaching some high school out there. But they were like, yo, you still got something left in the tank. True or false? Carson Wentz, is he still a starter? Potentially. And if he gets traded, definitely. And does he still have anything left in the tank? All I brought that up was for you to understand he still has something left in the tank. But let's go to our head engineer, the mechanic himself, and Bucky Brooks. So, Bucky.
What's up, Buck?
Does Cam Newton have more left in the tank? Check the gauges, homie.
Absolutely. He has a ton left in the tank. I'm sitting there looking at the numbers and the full screens and all the deceptive tactics that Acho is over here talking about and using, because I notice Acho always talks about the passing stats when it comes to Cam Newton. Yet, when we look at Cam Newton, who has been an MVP, who has played at a high level throughout his career, you know Cam Newton has only thrown for 4,000 yards one time in his career. That was his rookie season. So when we talk about passing totals, we're neglecting the part that makes Cam Newton great.
Yes.
You never mentioned that Cam Newton had 12 rushing touchdowns, the second highest single season total of his NFL career. We talk about his completion percentage. It is the second highest total of his NFL career. And he did it in New England without the advent of an offseason and with whoever was out there trying to catch passes for him. And so what I will say is Cam Newton still has the ability to play, but he's going to have to play his way. And if it is in New England, I would like to think that the opt-outs, they will return. The defense will be better because the defense certainly wasn't playing to the level that it played at previously for Tom Brady. And then when you look at the weapons on the outside, without Julian Edelman, can we name a Patriots receiver? Do we even know who one of those guys are? So if we're going to make this an indictment of Cam Newton and why the Patriots didn't go on and why he doesn't have gas in the tank, I think we should look at the entire situation that was going on in New England and how that impacted him. And oh, by the way, that full screen that Marcellus put up, 2 of those quarterbacks went to the playoffs. And so when you're talking about playing playoff football, Cam Newton certainly was playing at a level that should be able to get him to the playoffs, considering Jared Goff and Phillip Rivers made it. The other guy, I mean, we know what the other guy is.
I chose boy.
I've never, I guess misery loves company and so do terrible takes. I have never heard a congregation of terrible takes like I just heard. Bucky, let me start with Marcellus. Let me slice my dog up.
You better start the top.
The Patriots were 7-9. They were what? They lost 4 games by 1 possession. Now, I know you well enough to know you were coming with this stat. So I prepped extra hard this morning. I said, let's look at America. The 4 games they lost by that 1 possession.
Oh, let's go.
The Broncos game. 5 minutes left. Cam Newton had the ball down by 9. Patriots got an interception. Gave Cam Newton the ball at the 30-yard line. Nothing happened. Patriots got another interception. Cam Newton got the ball. Field goal. Cam Newton had 2 opportunities to win that game. Didn't do it. Mind you, he had 2 interceptions in that game. The Texans game. Cam Newton had the ball to tie and take the lead. What happened? Didn't happen. Didn't make it happen. The Bills game, down by 3. They ended up losing by 3. Cam Newton fumbles in the red zone. What else we have? The Seahawks game. Cam Newton, because they assumed you were limited, they run a QB power, you get stopped at the 1.5-yard line. The problem, I'm not going to be naive, is to ignore Bucky Brooks' point. Bucky Brooks is very tactful. He comes on the show, he gives you very good points, he tries to make sure they are bulletproof. I respect you for that, Bucky Brooks. But here's the issue.
What's the issue?
Self-fulfilling prophecy. Because Cam Newton is not perceived to be able to throw the ball, then Josh McDaniels, offensive coordinator, is like, hey, we're going to give you limited opportunities to throw the ball. Cam Newton in his limited opportunities going to go throw a pick. Josh McDaniels is going to say, see, I told you couldn't throw the ball, and the whole thing is cyclical. Is that a direct fault of Cam Newton? Not necessarily, but it's still an indirect fault of Cam Newton. Nonetheless, it's a fault of Cam Newton. 8 passing touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Bucky, all them rushing touchdowns are great. They really are. But at the end of the day, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, those were the 4 quarterbacks that were playing for the final dance. Those 4. Not the running cats, not the cats that had 12 rushing touchdowns. It was the prolific passers. I love Cam Newton. I love his style of play. Swaggiest dude in the NFL. But that won't get it done.
Okay, so what you're doing is you're using Cam Newton as the indictment on the athletic quarterback because evidently you don't like quarterbacks that can put it in the paint, who can run it as well as throw it. Because based on your admission, that means we don't want Josh Allen in the mix. We don't Lamar Jackson in the mix. We don't want those guys in the mix because you said we don't like these guys that can put it in the paint. 12 rushing touchdowns isn't good because we need to throw it into the end zone. Is that what we're saying, Acho? It only counts as a touchdown.
Had
we have
8 passing touchdowns. Josh Allen had like 35. Don't compare them. Don't compare Cam Newton and Josh Allen, please.
12 rushing touchdowns.
Is he a running back? Is he a running back? Let me tell you, Odell Beckham, he threw 4 passing touchdowns this year, Bucky Brooks. But I'm not going to lead with Odell's passing stats.
Don't they all count? They all count.
Gracious.
They all count. I'm just saying. You're saying this guy has nothing in the tank, but here we talk about and we're celebrating. Part of the reason why we celebrate Josh Allen is because Josh Allen not only throws it, but he runs it. Part of why Lamar Jackson won the MVP was not only because he throws it, because he runs it. We're looking at a quarterback who can put the ball in the paint a variety of different ways. And so when you talk about he doesn't have gas in the tank, if you told me he had 8 passing touchdowns, no rushing touchdowns, we don't get it. But it's about scoring points.
Bucky,
when we look at this offense, Patriot, he was the only guy who could put the ball in the paint.
Bucky, would you rather a moped or a Lamborghini? Cam Newton may have gas in the tank, but the tank is a moped. It is not going far fast. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, 35 passing touchdowns, plus they could run. Cam Newton had 8 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, Bucky. You don't believe this. You don't believe this. You don't even believe the words that are coming out of your mouth, Bucky. You're too smart.
Bucky, you got him, and that's why he's so frustrated. Like, usually Acho's so contained. You know, he stayed boxed in because he understands. You know, he's a brand now. He's bigger than a person. He's a brand. But right now, this is not good for the brand for him to come up here and say these type of things. Bucky's older than you, Acho. I'm older than you. Yeah. Sometimes wisdom comes with that age, and in this particular situation,
so does deterioration. So does deterioration, mental and physical. We're seeing with Cam Newton and you too.
Oh, let me help you out, Acho, simply. The end justifies the means. We don't give a damn how the scoreboard gets lit up as long as it gets lit up. 20 touchdowns and 11 giveaways is pretty good, but you care about how it's done. You're the same stubborn free throw shooter who's like, I'm gonna be Shaq up here. Brick. And there Rick Barry's like, hey, bruh, won't you just throw them underhand and get 90% of them in there? I know it doesn't look good, but guess what? Swish. But you're going to penalize Cam Newton in this situation. Go ahead and do you, bro. But let me talk about the positives for Cam Newton, the good things. Did he answer the questions about his durability? Yes, he did, because he started 15 games this season. Acho, your first take was he's always hurt. He's always injured the last 2 years. Was he hurt this year? I thought so. What about the questions about his accuracy? Second highest in his career, 66%. So Acho's wrong again. What about the concerns about his declining athleticism? The 12 touchdowns speak to that. Most since his rookie season. What about the fact that he can't throw as far, his arm strength? You know, he had the shoulder injury. Completed over 50% of his downfield passes. Boy, stop. And don't talk about how old he is, because Russell Wilson, Tannehill, others are older than Cam Newton. All of this adds up to a guy who goes to a team this year without the most opt-outs, without all of the preseason being canceled and not being acclimated fully. He's going to have some continuity. Then he goes out there, and Julian Edelman, stay healthy. Sony Michel, stay healthy. Stephon Gilmore, stay healthy. Rex Burkhead, stay healthy. Damian Harris, stay healthy. Now you got a squad, a 7-9 team that close to being 11-5 with Cam Newton going out there and doing what he does and throwing them underhanded free throws will be in the playoffs. Acho, anything?
Yes. I love Cam Newton. I've said this 1,000 times. I will continue to reiterate this.
Okay.
But it's not a 2020 issue. Cam Newton has 3 seasons in his 10-plus year career of 10 wins or more. 3 10-win seasons. He got 4 seasons of 6 wins or less. 2020 was just a micro picture of the macro career. Cam Newton has had some highs, but these lows,
No, I got to go here. I thought you loved you some Carson Wentz. I thought you loved you some Alex Smith. Boy, that Judas and Messiah in my head, ain't it? I thought you loved you them 2 dudes. Did Cam Newton have a better passer rating than Alex Smith? And now I understand you come up, hey, this is the NFL. You get between the white lines. I'm sorry. Your story's on the sidelines. We want to see how you ball. You told me Tom Brady had it easy because he ain't go through Alex Smith. If he had to go through Alex Smith, it'd be difficult. Oh, I thought you loved him. What about Carson Wentz, who you still think has something left in the tank? But you're trying to tell me Cam Newton doesn't have nothing in the tank? Boy, I thought you loved you some Alex Smith.
Marcellus,
you did not love those dudes unless you're lying
Cam is
about
31 to Carson 27. Carson has had more success than Cam more recently than Cam. Even in Carson's worst season.
What?
Bring up the full screen. Please bring up Marcellus's full screen.
I don't want to see no full screens in America. I don't
Carson Wentz's historically terrible year.
What?
In the worst year Carson Wentz has had in his
worse than
5-year
Cam's.
career. He still had
What, can Cam get one?
touchdowns than Cam.
One.
And he played three less games.
Three.
Carson Wentz couldn't have gotten worse. He couldn't have gotten worse.
And more turnovers.
And he still had
Look at them
more
giveaways.
touchdowns
Turnovers. Oh, yeah.
in less games than
Giveaways.
Cam Newton.
What about the completion
What else
percentage
you want?
giveaways? What about the completion percentage giveaways? You don't want to talk about that.
God.
He has
Oh, my
more in the tank
gosh.
if Carson Wentz still has more in the tank.